Imagine a world where the air is cleaner, the oceans are free of plastic, and forests the eye can see. Now imagine the opposite, a world choked by pollution. This is not a dystopian fantasy. It is the reality we are hurtling toward, and America's capitalist-driven policies are a major force behind this destruction. Beneath the gleaming skyscrapers and bustling cities lies a darker truth. The pursuit of profit has come at the expense of the planet. But how did we get here? And is there still time to change course? The story begins with fossil fuels, the lifeblood of modern capitalism. The United States, a nation built on industry and innovation, has long relied on oil, coal, and natural gas to power its economy. From the factories of the Industrial Revolution to the highways of the 20th century, fossil fuels have been the engine of American progress. But this progress has come at a cost. The US is the second largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, and its historical emissions dwarf those of any other nation. The consequences are undeniable. Rising global temperatures, melting ice caps, and increasingly extreme weather events. Yet, despite the clear evidence of harm, fossil fuel companies continue to wield immense power, lobbying against regulations and green energy initiatives. The result is a system that prioritizes profit over the health of the planet. But the damage doesn't stop at carbon emissions. America's consumer-driven economy thrives on convenience, and nothing embodies this more than plastic. The US generates more plastic waste than any other country, with much of it ending up in landfills, rivers, and oceans. Single-use plastics like water bottles, packaging, and straws are a hallmark of American capitalism. Cheap to produce, profitable to sell, and disastrous for the environment. The production of plastic is heavily reliant on fossil fuels, creating a vicious cycle of pollution. And when plastic breaks down, it turns into microplastics that infiltrate ecosystems, harm wildlife, and even enter the human food chain. Despite growing awareness of the plastic crisis, the US has been slow to adopt meaningful regulations, prioritizing corporate profits over planetary health. Then there's the issue of deforestation. While much of the world's deforestation occurs in countries like Brazil and Indonesia, the US plays a significant role as a consumer of products linked to forest destruction. Palm oil, soy, beef, and timber are often sourced from illegally cleared land, and American companies are major buyers of these goods. Moreover, the US has its own history of deforestation, particularly during the expansion of agriculture and urban development in the 19th and 20th centuries. Today, the logging industry continues to exploit forests for profit, often with little regard for biodiversity or carbon sequestration. Forests are vital carbon sinks, and their destruction accelerates climate change while displacing indigenous communities and endangering wildlife. One of the most insidious ways America contributes to global environmental destruction is by exporting its waste. For decades, the US shipped millions of tons of plastic, electronic waste, and other refuse to developing countries, primarily in Asia. These nations, lacking the infrastructure to handle such volumes, often burn or dump the waste, leading to severe pollution and health problems for local communities. While some countries have begun to refuse America's waste, the problem persists. The US continues to produce staggering amounts of waste, and without a robust recycling system, much of it ends up in landfills or incinerators, releasing toxic chemicals and greenhouse gases into the environment. At the heart of America's environmental impact is its culture of consumerism. Capitalism thrives on constant growth, and this requires convincing people to buy more than they need. From fast fashion to disposable electronics, the US economy is built on a model of planned obsolescence and overconsumption. This culture of excess has far-reaching consequences. It drives the extraction of finite resources, generates massive amounts of waste, and fuels climate change. Yet, despite the growing awareness of these issues, the US has been slow to transition to a more sustainable economic model. The pressure to maintain GDP growth and corporate profits often overshadows the need for environmental stewardship. The situation may seem dire, but it's not hopeless. There are steps America can take to reduce its environmental impact and lead the way toward a more sustainable future. Transitioning to renewable energy, regulating plastic production, protecting forests, reducing waste, and shifting cultural norms are all critical steps. But these changes require a fundamental shift in priorities, one that places the health of the planet above the pursuit of profit. The story of America's environmental impact is a cautionary tale, but it is also a call to action. The choices we make today will determine the world we leave for future generations. Will we continue down the path of destruction, or will we rise to the challenge and create a more sustainable future? The answer lies in our hands. The clock is ticking, and the planet is waiting. What will we choose?